Happy 4th of July, y'all. I just wanted to drop in. I just learned something today. Learned a few things I just wanted to share. One about Abraham Lincoln. I did not know this. Abraham Lincoln was born into a poor family. I'm paraphrasing, not a historian. Was born into a very poor family. And in Kentucky, he eventually moved to Illinois. But he was born in Kentucky. Abraham's Abraham Lincoln's family. I can't remember what his mom did or what his dad did, but he grew up reading books because he believed that was a way out of poverty. And he grew up going to a Calvinist Baptist church that was like anti-slavery. And so there's a lot of people in that time that were very much anti-slavery in morals. Um, and at some point, Abraham would like hire himself and get paid in books and any money he would give to his father. And eventually, at some point, men said, "Hey, we'll pay you to bring us out to shore." And Abraham learned this is a great way to make some money. And his dad would make sure he got paid, you know. And eventually, these men said, "Hey, we'll pay you to bring us further south." And so I think it was like in Louisiana he went to, and I think it was the first time Abraham Lincoln seen how slaves were treated in the South. I'm at a water park, and there's just a safety break now. First time Abraham Lincoln seen how slaves were treated in the South, and yeah, how slaves were treated in the South, and beaten and murdered and killed in front of him. And he was always against it. It's funny how you can be against something in thought. It's funny how you can be against something in theory, but when you see it firsthand, that's really when it tests you, you know? And so Abraham Lincoln eventually, uh, seeing that it shook him, now eventually went on to run for like some form of like government. I can't remember what it was, and he promised the people that he would build infrastructure, roads, and water access, waterways, and he couldn't. The country eventually went into like a recession, and so he couldn't fulfill that. Simultaneously, while this is happening, a lady that he was dating, actually got sick and died. And so Abraham Lincoln was like, "My life is over. I'm nobody." You know, how many times have something in your life like shook you or stretched you or broken you, and you thought everything you were aspiring for, everything that your life was kind of built on, is broken, and you felt like you were over? And so it just so happened one of Abraham Lincoln's friends was a lawyer, and the lawyer said, you need more education, you need more learning, and I see greatness in you. Abraham Lincoln was great with words, great with words. I think that's one of his biggest gifts, is that he was great with words. And so his friends started training him to be a lawyer, and Abraham would go around a circuit. At that time, there was someone in the South. In the South, slavery was the South's like main form of like economic growth, right? And the like backbone of the Southern economy. And there was someone saying, yeah, we should push the slavery into some neighboring states towards the west, and even go as far as California. And Abraham Lincoln, who was, from now what I know, Abraham Lincoln was anti-slavery from birth. And the Republican Party was birthed to stop slavery from moving further west. And they presented Abraham Lincoln as the head of that party. I didn't know that. Now I got to give credit where credit is due. And so Abraham Lincoln eventually wins, becomes the president, and then I found out that the 4th of July was very significant. Out of like 26 battles, the North won two very pivotal ones. Lost most of them, but won two pivotal battles, and they both happened on 4th of July, different years. And yeah, and one, I honor intentions. I honor intentions. People say, Abraham Lincoln. Even growing up, I would hear, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, but he really didn't do a good job. But then when I hear about the intentions behind him, I have to give him credit. His heart was to end slavery, that slavery would not go and move into the rest of the nation, but would be like America wouldn't be as a country that was built on slavery. You know? That America wouldn't continue to profit. So I have to give him credit where credit is due. And
You're gonna have to count
yeah,
60
yeah. So
10 times.
moving forward into the actual Civil War, Abraham Lincoln felt like the North was losing, and he prayed and asked God, "I need God on my side." And he said he believed God told him that make this about ending slavery and not just stopping it. Make this about ending slavery. And I want to say this too again, like the South's main export or the main backbone of its economy was slavery and slave profit. And even now we can see areas in our like society that profits off the exploitation of people, whether it be mental illness or addiction or even just, housing, the housing market or renting or, entire communities ripped up because rent prices are too high. So that's just one thing I want to say. Like, uh, yeah, that's just one thing I want to say. Sometimes we invest more in sustaining the profit than in feeding the machine than we actually do setting people free. And so here's a time where versus morals versus ideals, or morals versus profit or gain come into play. You don't know a person until there's opportunity. My friend said this to me. Again, I said this before. A friend said, you know a person when it comes down to their time and money. You know a person when it comes down to their time and their money. And if they're willing to spend either on you know a person's intentions. So I just wanted to share that with you. And so when Abraham Lincoln felt like God said, make it about ending slavery, he very much did. He very much did. And so I just want to share that with you. Again, some people believe there's a lot of things that Abraham Lincoln put into play before he died, and those people and things followed, ended that. Things that he wanted to do on behalf of African Americans and enslaved people, and people after that followed him, and people after that kind of tried to stop that. And so I want to give him credit. Happy 4th of July, and I pray your day is blessed. I learned a lot today.